Yay.
Great. All right. So welcome. Congratulations on a wonderful show that I'm sure made all of us laugh. I loved it. Um, just to start off, Eric sort of gave a brief sort of lowdown on who you are. Before we watched it, I'm going to do just a quick introduction for people who weren't here at the beginning. But as Eric said, Marisa is a wonderful playwright who has also been a frequent person at Northern Stage. You might have seen Venus Rising or Mad Love, and now Naked Librarian. And Marisa also is a founder of a publishing company where she publishes scripts and books for schools and colleges. And in addition to those three shows that we've seen at Northern Stage, she's also done a play called Sex and Other Disturbances, which won a 2018 Ed Curtin Award, and Saving Kitty, which won an Elliot Norton award, and that was at the Nora Theater Company. So, a very accomplished and phenomenal writer, as we all know well. And we're so excited to have you here, Marisa.
Everyone, hi.
And I'm going to start out just asking her a few questions. And then, like usual, I'll turn it over to y'all. You can either just like raise your hand in the screen or raise your hand on Zoom, and I'll go ahead and call on y'all. So we can start things off with Marisa, would you be able to talk a bit about the process of writing this play and what inspired you to write it? What was really challenging about it?
Sure. It let's see. It sort of caught me by surprise. I had written 3 of the monologues. Um I was between full-length plays and I still wanted to keep writing because, I think it's important just to keep writing and I like to write and so I hadn't determined what I was going to do next. So I did have these characters sort of rolling around in my head. So I decided just to write some monologues. I really don't remember why I decided to write a monologue, but I did. Smith and Krause publishes, like, we have 200 or 200 or 300. I can't remember. I lost track. Monologue books. So it's a form that I'm very familiar with. And it was a way to just keep my writing instrument working. Um, and again, bring to life these characters who just sort of lived in my head, who are composite people of people I know. Pumpernickel actually was the name of my mom's first boyfriend. And so there, I mean, Eric knows this too. Like, I see the world as my palette. And so I take different elements, different stories, different characteristics, different, and sort of smush them together to make a character. It's like making a quilt or a pie or something. And I've never had, with the exception of one moment in my life, I've never had any of my friends complain, and say, "Oh my God, you stole that from my life," or whatever. And then when Jess and I and Carol and I were talking about what kinds of things to do during the COVID period, the idea of monologues came up, and then I told them I had these monologues. And then working with Jess, I figured she actually gave me the idea. I was trying to figure out the 4th monologue to make it more of a piece, and I was thinking of writing Aviva, and I had a couple other ideas for characters. But Jess encouraged me to make the 4th person Aviva, the granddaughter.
Awesome. Well, I'm just curious, what was the inspiration for the Naked Librarian? Like, is that
Oh, well, that also was a personal story. I knew a couple who had spent a year living on a beach in Mexico. They were like real hippies. And I've always the image of them living, it was an image, the image of them living on the beach in Mexico. I just thought that was so romantic and so amazing. And as I daydreamed, I mean, you guys are young writers, right? I mean, writing isn't conscious almost. I mean, it's the stuff of your daydreams, when you're just like lounging around or whatever. And so I would think about them. They were a very interesting couple for many reasons, for me personally. And I just visualized them on the tent, and I don't know, it just sort of grew from there. I saw the woman's holding a book, and it was sort of like a hallucination or something of what I was completely,
Yeah.
you know, non-hallucinating, obviously. I'm the squarest. I mean, I'm totally like one of the few people in the world who does not inhale. I cannot inhale. I know I'm bad. No, I'm just saying, don't do drugs.
Good life lesson. Um, so my next question is more about the rehearsal process. And did your script change at all, and how drastically throughout the rehearsal period?
It changed. I overwrite always. I always write too much, and I always know that. And I never hold on to that. Another thing for writers is you have to be willing to. You can't hold on to anything, because what I always say, if I really love something and it has to go, it can go somewhere else. You can put it somewhere else. You never hold on to your material if it doesn't work for the greater good. So I was thrilled to cut because it just made the piece tighter. um it So I did edit a lot during the rehearsal period, but it was weird though to rehearse on Zoom. I mean, there's nothing like the energy of being in a room with a live human being. I mean, there is no comparison. It was better than nothing, certainly, but the one day we did rehearse was just like thrilling.
Yeah.
It just like a person, and you can feel the energy and stuff. So yes, it changed quite a bit. I cut quite a lot out.
Yeah, well, that kind of segues well into my next question, which were what were some of the big challenges of doing a play during COVID, and um, did you? Well, I guess you said that you wrote it sort of specifically for this time, but yeah, I'm just wondering, watching rehearsals, watching the interaction with actors and filming, like what was that like?
Well, it was bittersweet because I was thrilled to be working
Mhm.
with actors and developing the material. But I mean, I'm not going to lie, it was kind of painful in a way sometimes because it wasn't in real life. So I, it just, I just cried a few times
Mhm.
because it wasn't, so that was a little emotionally, it was a little hard
Mhm.
because it wasn't the normal thing. So that was a challenge. And also, I'll tell you a really weird story. When we all did meet for the first time, although I knew two of the actors from working with them previously, but when we all met as a group to get our COVID test, there was this unbelievable kind of shyness that we all felt. You could feel it. You could feel this
Wow.
strange shyness that we had with each other because we hadn't been in the room together.
Yeah.
So, and I remember Kate said to Jess, the director, "You're so much taller than I thought you were." It was just the oddest experience.
Yeah.
So I was thrilled to be able to do it and happy to hear the material out loud and work on it with actors who, again, added so much. I
Mhm.
love working with actors, because they add, and also sometimes they'll word a sentence in a way, or they'll add a line, or they'll not a line so much, but they'll add something or change a word or change the order or have an idea that improves the script. So I always want the input of the actor, always is important to me.
Yeah, that's awesome. Important thing for all of us to know about collaborative theater and how great that is. Um, I am now going to open up the floor to all of you. Does anyone have a question for Marisa? I'm gonna. Oh, Sage, go for it.
Hi, Sage.
Hi.
Oh, hi, Sage.
Hi. So I was wondering how you chose the perspectives that you chose because I know there were a lot of characters that didn't speak in the play, but they were mentioned a lot. And I was just wondering how you settled on the characters you settled on.
Oh, that's interesting. It was well, first of all, I knew I was going to have Pumpernickel and Goosey as my main people, but then how did I settle on Pumpernickel's son? Um, I don't really have an answer for that. I think it's that I wanted. It's that I knew that Pumpernickel would have a child who would be faced with a, in my daydreaming, would be faced with a similar uh, challenge that he had. You know, would he marry the woman he really loved? And it just came to me. Well, I guess I have to admit a little bit also that I have two sons, and my older son, I'm still waiting for him to rebel. You know, I'm kind of waiting. My younger son has rebelled for 20 million people. He's done everything that, well, not everything. No drugs, no drugs. But my older son, I even say it to him. I say, when are you going to rebel? Like, when are you going to rebel? I mean, he's a lawyer. You know, he married the perfect woman. They have the perfect grandson. He really is perfect, my grandson. I know you think I'm lying to you, but I'm not. That's always been in my mind. You know, it's always been in my mind. So I guess and he knows that I stole from him. He's seen it. My children are very supportive of my work. So then that's how that happened. And then I love the idea of generations. I love the concepts. One thing I really like was this concept of how what our parents and our grandparents and our great grandparents do, even if they die, has an effect like on our DNA. I mean, I just believe that. That's kind of woo woo, mysterious, superstition, whatever, but I believe it. That it has an effect on us as we live today. So that was something I wanted to explore. I hope that helps a little.
Yeah. For those who just entered, we're just asking Marisa, the playwright of Naked Librarian, questions. So if anyone else have any questions for Marisa? Okay, I see it. Well, I'm curious to know how you would see this play happening, like in person, not virtually.
Yeah, that would be great. I think what I think when oh, here, I'll ask you guys because I want you to help me. I'm thinking of adding, it's now 45 minutes about, or 50 minutes. And I think I would like to add 2 more monologues possibly. Well, this is a great question for everybody. And make it a full evening. I think it could hold up on stage with interesting staging and lighting and so forth. So if I had to have 2 other people, other monologues in the play, who would you like to hear from? And why don't I help you a little bit because I know the play so well. I mean, Aviva has a brother, Sammy. Aviva has a boyfriend, the father of her baby, Prajit. Um, um, then there's Rachel, the mom, who has a wife now, Dana. Who else is there? So I'm curious, who is there any, or maybe think of someone
I
totally.
sort of want to hear from the son and Martha's love child,
Oh, Joshie.
Joshua, because he's the sort of this end of the line, like he's the youngest in the generation, right?
Yeah.
And like that would bring it full circle potentially in a.
Oh, that's a good idea. Okay, Joshie. I hadn't even thought of Joshua.
And like, yeah, I also have been very curious about the mother's perspective because we hear a lot about her from her daughter's perspective, but to you know, the piano teacher, the good mother, but she's got these secrets of her own. And
yeah,
I have to say that one of the biggest red herrings for me, and it happened in the reading, it happened again, whenever the Pumpernickel's like waiting for the other shoe to drop, like I just really think the son is gonna come out as gay.
Yeah.
I like really like expect that. And so then when he doesn't, I'm always a little like, oh, are you sure? And then, but then when the mother comes out as gay in response, because it's always so sad, you feel like, oh no, the mother's been really screwed over and it's not fair to her. But actually him following his true passion is freed her to follow hers. So like, I think that is then delivered in an even more powerful way. So I am very curious about mom.
Okay, mother and Joshua. Did I see your hand up? Where, or maybe not. I'm putting you on the spot probably in the Zoom world.
No. I was thinking, maybe I was interested in seeing, Jacob's perspective.
Oh, Jacob. Yeah, the son.
Which
Yeah,
one's
the good son.
who's Jacob?
Jacob is is Martha's husband. You know, Pumpernickel's son, who the good boy,
Oh,
who never rebelled.
but wasn't that who we did see?
Yes, we did. We did see Jacob, but no, we didn't. We had Martha. We heard Martha. We didn't hear anything from Jacob.
Oh, that's so weird. I feel like I know him.
Yeah, that's weird. I had a weird moment there for a second too. No. Jacob, we haven't heard from, but you know why you think that is because there's conversation in the Pumpernickel monologue between Jacob and between Jake and his dad.
Yeah.
So but what Eva is saying is like, it might be interesting to hear a whole monologue of Jacob and his struggle, right?
Finn and then Rowan, go for it.
I kind of thought it might be interesting to hear from, I think it's Aunt Esther.
Oh
Is
yeah,
the
yeah.
sister who did rebel and who has the context. And
Good point. That's the rabbi. That's a
Rabbi.
great point. I would love to hear about her.
Yeah, she was the wild one who became a rabbi. Usually wild children become shrinks, but she became a rabbi.
Someone else from
Or
your life,
actors.
Marisa?
What?
Someone else from your life?
No. Actually, the rabbis I know are all pretty, rabbinical. I don't know anyone who went crazy, but yeah. But I like that idea. I had never even thought of Esther or Joshua.
Rowan, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I had the same idea as Finn and Eva to hear from either Esther or Jacob, because like you hear a lot about Jacob throughout the story, but you don't hear much about Esther. Like she's briefly touched on by almost everybody, but you never really get to like see or hear much about her. So I thought it'd be kind of cool to like experience how Esther saw everything.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe I should do it. Maybe I should make a full-length play of monologues with all these people. Joshi could end up being like this, like everyone else is so, thoughtful and insightful and everything, and Joshua could be just like, I don't know.
Marisa, I know there's a generational problem, but then you get to have the dinner party where they're all at the same table at the end. It's just like thinking about producing, you got like 6 actors in the wings, and like you'd have to do something artistic with the staging. As you said, stylized. They could be on stage the whole time in some sort of way. That's anyway.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. Or I could actually write I could write a scene at the end with everybody on stage and just it being the ghosts of the dead people.
Well, I just was working on a play. It had a lot of characters, and there was 2-person scenes, 2-person, and then finally at the end they were all together in the same room, and it was very satisfying.
Yeah, I would want to put everybody in the same room, even if they were dead people.
That would be freaking sweet.
That would be great. And then COVID would be over and we could all be on stage together.
Oh, blessings.
Stage direction, lick her face, you know what I mean? No more. It's just so weird.
Clem, did you have a question?
I was thinking it could be Josh is really little, right? Like he's a little kid.
Yeah.
I think it'd be really fun if he just got everything wrong. Like it was his version of the story and he didn't get a single familial fact right.
That's funny.
I think that'd be really fun. Like he was the really closing person. And
that's a great idea. Yeah. He could be like 4 years old and he could be telling us everything, but it was all wrong. That would be very funny. I like that idea. I'm going to steal that, Clem. Stealing that from you.
You guys are now part of the creation of a new work.
Yeah. Any other ideas or people you want to see or anything you didn't like? I really would love to know what you didn't like. Don't be afraid. I'm very thick-skinned.
This is your chance. This is your
Yeah,
chance.
really, yeah. Come on. There must have been something you didn't like or you didn't believe. Maybe something you didn't believe or didn't like. Come on. I'll give you an A for this. Come on. Anything you didn't believe.
Eli's
I have a
Eli?
question more than a comment.
Okay.
How many takes did it take to go through each of the monologues, or were you able to splice it up with different like camera angles and sections?
Well, I was only there for 2 of the monologues, the one that were done here in the Upper Valley. And I think Martha was about 4 or 5, maybe. I'm not positive. Kate was surprisingly not many. First of all, she was in, practically a bikini, and it was freezing, but she was a real trooper. But we got her in the first 2, 3 takes. Martha was longer. And then Goosey was in the park, and that was a bunch of takes because there was a lot of ambient noise, and that never went away entirely. And so there was some problems there. And then Steve, I think, who played Pumpernickel, I think he actually filmed himself, I think, or he had a friend do it. And so I don't know how many, but there weren't many. There weren't a whole lot of takes. It wasn't like a real movie where you do little bits and stuff. This was a lot of long takes. Oh, I had another question for you guys. Oh shoot, it went out of my head. Let me think if I can get it. It was having to do with like another production of it.
I think Liam has a question.
Yeah.
You want to?
I'm so sorry. I don't mean to interrupt your question that you were going to ask, but I was just going to ask, who's your favorite character and why?
Oh, that's really hard to. Well, I don't know. I kind of, maybe because she's the one I wrote last. I guess Aviva. I kind of really liked her. I don't know, for some reason, even though she's not my age, obviously, I felt more connected to her in a way. I mean, I understand Martha a lot, obviously, but I don't know. There's something, maybe it was the actress too. Something about Aviva. I just like her a lot. I like her attitude. I like her. She's kind of who I want to be. You know what I mean? So I really liked her a lot.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. I wish I could remember that question because I wanted you to help me write the play. Now I can't.
I think one of my favorite things about Aviva's track is that at first you're just not quite sure why she's there. She's like gone all the way to this beach, and you think it's about soul searching for her family's history. But then when she finally has that great moment where she's like, I'm pregnant.
Yeah.
And you realize that that's why she's there, and that's why she's even thinking about these stories. Does she want to bring a baby into the world?
Yeah.
And I think that those moments in all of the monologues are why my attention was so captured, because there was even though there's not action, there is action. There are things happening, being revealed, high stakes. The characters are working through important stories. So that's what Aviva really jumps out for me too.
Oh, good. And I think in a weird way, Aviva taught me the most, because when I was wrangling her, I had to ask myself questions like, those big life questions, like why have a baby? And, I know why I had children, but I don't know, somehow I felt like it helped me, especially, I think part of it, this is very much a COVID play, because I was having a lot of the big questions during COVID. I mean, we're still having COVID. But I think what I've gotten out of the COVID period is, it sounds very corny, but and especially this play brought it really close to home, because I couldn't be in the room with actors, is the incredible importance of human connection. I mean, it's not just a cliche. I mean, we are like social creatures. I mean, we're like a bunch of baboons, baboons, they need each other desperately. And I really feel that way, and when I think about who's going to be there, I've had 2 husbands, and been like, who's going to be there at the end, I thought, well, it's the kids, unless I somehow really make them angry and write about them too much and they never speak to me again. So yeah, and theater is so important. Eric knows, well, you feel the same way. I mean, just especially for young people, it's just, I think it's life-saving. I really do. I'm not just saying that. I think it's absolutely life-saving. So don't stop doing it. Whatever you're doing, you do theater your whole life, no matter what else you do. When you become a banker or president, possibly.
I paid her $20.
$20?
To say that.
No.
A little thing about doing theater, Marisa. We'll make it worth your while.
I'm thinking I have to go back on stage at some point.
I'll direct you on stage.
I know. I think that would be so much fun.
Get you a big dramatic robe and write your own monologue. It'd be great.
Okay. Are you all actors, writers, or what is everybody?
Yes.
I'd say primarily actors, and then buddy
Actors.
writers and directors and, dancers. But I think acting is the part of the craft that we all have in common.
Are you doing a show right now together, all of you?
Oh, I wish. Many of them are in Much Ado About Nothing, which is being filmed this week and next. And many will be in, hopefully, our programming next season. And by season, I mean like January. But, a lot of our big shows in person have been canceled because of the COVID.
I know, but it will be, this time next year, really, it'll be handled.
Thank you for that optimism.
Oh, it definitely will. There's no question. Absolutely. Absolutely will be handled. We'll live with it to some extent. The vaccine will help to some extent. We'll know more how to treat it. It will not ruin our lives.
That is a lovely note to end on.
Good. Thank you.
For your
Thank you so much, Marisa.
Yes, thank you for being here, and thank you to all of you all for coming and watching the show. Have a great evening. I'll talk to you all later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Kerrigan.
Thank you.
Thank you.